Hello students, welcome back to the channel. I am Shalom, and in the previous class we discussed basics of biology. That was just a very basic where we learned about terminologies of cell, tissue, organ and organ system, organism, how are they formed. Okay, now today we will be discussing about the class 9th chapters, which is very much important for class 10th students. It is like a bridge course, okay, where what you have learned in 9th standard, it will just be a brush up of it, so that when you go to your classes of 10th, it will be useful to remember what you have learned in 9th. Now I know that there are updates regarding the NCERT textbooks, so whichever portion is added or whichever portion is deleted, I will make a separate video on it. And do not worry, whatever part has to be explained will be explained to you through videos one by one. Okay, so today we will be discussing about the complete class 9th biology. Whatever we learned over there, that was 3 chapters essentially. That was the fundamental unit of life, tissues, and the improvement in food resources. So firstly, let us start. What are we going to cover today? So today we are going to cover what do we mean by cell, okay, then tissues, then food resources, how is it related to your class 10th, all these topics, and certain exam preparation strategies. So first, in the class section 1, what are we going to understand? In the section 1 we will see about cell. Okay, in the previous video we have already understood what do we mean by cell, what is the definition of a cell, right? So here again we'll just brush up what is actually meaning of a cell. So cell is a smallest structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Every living thing, from a tiny bacteria, tiny microbe, to a giant blue whale, is made up of one or more cells. Okay, tiny organism to a very big organism is made up of cell. They might have only one cell or they might have many number of cells depending upon the organism. Cells carry out life processes including nutrition, respiration, and reproduction. Okay, now who did this cell? How was the cell discovered? In the last video we have already understood. So the scientist called as Robert Hooke in 1665, he observed a thin slice of cork under a microscope and named it cells because they looked like small rooms. It is a Latin word. Then Antonio van Leeuwenhoek later observed living cells for the first time and improved microscope. So Robert Hooke basically saw dead cells. The cork cells are dead cells. They are made from the bark of the tree. Okay, but the structure was visible. But Leeuwenhoek, he saw the living cells, okay, from pond water. And till he observed it, there was improved microscope, whereas Robert Hooke had observed it in his own microscope. Okay, now coming next to the next part, that is cell theory. So when we see the cells, about cell, the main important theory or postulate of cells is cell theory. Now this cell theory was given by Skeldon and Skivon, okay, and Virchow. They had given different different outcomes, but this cell theory was basically given by Skeldon and Skivon. So firstly, what is the postulate? All living things are made up of cell. So everything which is living is made up of cell. Okay, every organism, whether a unicellular or multicellular. So last video we have understood what do we mean by unicellular and what do we mean by multicellular. If you have any doubts regarding it, please watch the previous video. But still I will explain. Unicellular, which has single cell, okay, and multicellular, which has many number of cell, not only 2 or 3, many number of cell. Okay, second postulate, cell is the basic unit of life. So for a life to be alive, cell is the basic unit. Cell has to be present, only then there is life. All the life activities happen around cellular level. So in the cell, all the cellular activities will happen. New cells exist from the pre-existing cell or arise from the pre-existing cell. So the new cell, so for example, if this is a cell, it will there will be new cells will arrive from this previous cells only. They are not forming by their own. They are forming from this previous cell itself. So what did they give the theory? New cells arrive from pre-existing cells. Okay. So this is a very important part which you have to remember, which is very essential also. Now let us see the difference between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. Okay, what do we mean by prokaryote or what do we mean by eukaryote? This actually comes after you learn your organelles, but I have included in beforehand so that at the last we will just look to it again and we will see what do we mean by prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So prokaryotic cells, they are also called as false cells. Okay, eukaryotes are called as true cells. Fine. Now why? Because the prokaryotes, no true nucleus is present there. They do not have a true nucleus. The size ranges from 1 to 10 micrometer and membrane bound organelles are absent. So in a cell there will be a membrane. So this membrane bound organelles will be bound to this membrane, that is absent in prokaryotes. DNA is circular in cytoplasm. Okay, examples of the prokaryotes are bacteria, blue-green algae, and the cell division usually happens by binary fission or any other asexual methods in the prokaryotic organisms. Eukaryotes, they have a true nucleus with a nuclear membrane. So nucleus is present, there is a nuclear membrane, the outer covering also is present. So they are called as true cells. Larger compared to prokaryotes, 10 to 100 micrometer. Present in mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum. Then linear, inside the nucleus, the DNA is present. They are examples: plant cell, animal cell, fungus, fungi. All these are also example of eukaryotes. Division occurs through mitosis and meiosis. We will go through this division again once we understand all the organelles. Next, what are cell organelles? Now we are not going to understand cell organelles in a very detailed manner because all of you have already learnt it. We will just understand what are the important parts of a cell organelle. So here in cell organelles, there are two types of cells. First, remember, cell has two types. We are learning about two types of cells. What are they? Animal cell and plant cell. Okay, so organelles in animal cell and plant cell, some are the same, some are present only in the plant cell, and some have major role in plant cell and not in animal cell. So what are first the cell organelles? The parts present in the cell, okay, which is made which makes up a cell is called cell organelles. Let us see in a simplified manner. The first is cell membrane. Now this is your plant cell. Okay, now in this plant cell there will be an covering. So this is cell wall. Okay, and this is plasma membrane, which is also called as cell membrane. Okay, or we can just take this animal cell also over here. Okay, so the outer covering is plasma membrane or also called as cell membrane. So it is thin, flexible outer boundary, controls what enters and leaves the cell. It is selectively permeable, lets some substances pass or block other. So the outer membrane which is there, this outer membrane is selectively permeable. It will not allow all the components to move inside them and all the components from the cell to come out. It will select. Okay, so it is called as selectively permeable membrane. Okay, then it is very thin and it is flexible outer boundary. Next, cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a jelly-like fluid that fills the cell and surrounds organelles. So in the cell, it is a jelly-like fluid which will completely fill the cell and it is surrounded by the cell organelles. Provides a medium for chemical reaction and holds organelles in place. So there are many organelles. So a cell has many organelles, right? So these cytoplasm, what it is doing, it will make sure that all the cell organelles are present together, and also helps in certain cellular activities and chemical reactions. So that is the role they play. Another major cell organelle is nucleus. Now there is another name for this nucleus. You can just pause and remember what is the another name for this nucleus till I erase, and comment it down. What is the another name for nucleus? A very important first point whenever you remember about nucleus. So nucleus is also called as the brain of cell. Okay, it is also called as brain of cell. It is a control center of cell. So the cell is controlled by a nucleus. Nucleus is controlling the entire cell. It contains DNA and chromosomes. Directs cell activities, growth, reproduction, surrounded by a nuclear membrane. So what it is having? Nucleus, it has DNA and chromosomes. Now what is the full form of DNA? Comment it down. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, and what are chromosomes? Chromosomes are those which carry these DNA. Okay, you might have seen these structures in your class 9, class 8. So they are the chromosomes, and these carry the DNA. DNA, what is it having? It is having the genetic material. DNA as your genetic material, the genes. So they are present over the chromosomes. Fine. And this nucleus has, if you see the structure of a nucleus, it has an outer membrane. Okay, this outer membrane is called as nuclear membrane. That nuclear membrane is present for nucleus. Mitochondria, the next one. Now what is mitochondria? The short form of mitochondria, or short name title of mitochondria, which everybody remembers, is powerhouse of cell. So mitochondria is also called as powerhouse of cell. Why it is called as powerhouse of cell? That is because it produces ATP. What is ATP? ATP is energy. Why energy is so important for us? To do all the activities in our day-to-day life, this energy is very, very important, and that will be prepared by our mitochondria, cell organelle, through cellular respiration. So the cellular respiration to occur, this ATP is also very important. Cells with high energy needs like muscle cells have more mitochondria. So the muscle cells, they need a lot of energy. There they have more mitochondria. Next, plastids. Now plastid is an organelle which is present only in plant cell. Okay, like the cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, mitochondria, these are present in any plant cell as well as animal cell. But plastids are present only in the plant cell. Why they are present only in the plant cell? Because they contain this chloroplast cell, which has the pigment called as chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a green pigment. What this green pigment will do? What is going to do? It is going to undergo the process of photosynthesis. Okay, what is photosynthesis? Where plants prepare their own food in the presence of sunlight, water, carbohydrate through the chlorophyll to give food, that is glucose. So that only occurs in the plants. It only occurs in the plants and certain algae which contains chlorophyll. So that is why this particular organelle is present only in the plant cell. Okay, converting the sunlight into food, that is glucose, and give plants their green coloration. Next, vacuole. Now vacuole is also the storage organelle. It stores certain components. Vacuole is present both in animal cell, okay, as well as plant cell. It is present in both, but it plays a major role here in the plant cell. Here in the plant cell it is having a major role. So in a plant cell, the complete 90% of the space is taken up by vacuole. Okay, why the vacuole is so important in the plant cell? Because it stores the food in plant. It stores food in plants. Now in animal cell also it is present, but it does not have a major role in animal cell. Okay, so they are very tiny, very small, and the number of vacuoles present is also less. But whereas in a plant cell, the vacuole is larger in size and plays a very crucial role, that is storing the food. Okay, maintains the cell shape. What it does, it also maintains the cell shape, again stores water and food. And in animal cell, one second, in animal cell, as I told you, it is very temporary. It is not necessarily important in the animal cell. Okay, now there are other cell organelles like Golgi apparatus. So that was not included over here. We will know understand about Golgi apparatus. Now what is this Golgi? It was named after the scientist Golgi, Camillo Golgi, who discovered it. So Golgi apparatus is helping in modification, packaging, and transportation. Okay, let me write it over here because it will not be visible on the screen. Golgi apparatus is present for modification, packaging, and transportation, right, of certain components within the cell. So for example, I always give this example. When your mummy is preparing some very tasty food, now we will take fried rice. Okay, just out of that box where she has kept the rice, she is not going to give you a fried rice, right? There is some preparation needed. So what is happening? The raw rice first is cooked. Okay, it is cooked first, that means it is modified. Okay, it becomes into a boiled rice. The texture changes, the way it taste also changes, right? Then in that she will also add some vegetables and all, and it becomes a fried rice or egg rice, whichever you like. Then that food is packed in your tiffin. Okay, it is packed, and then she gives it to you. It is kept in your bag, and then it is brought to your school. Very basic example. Okay, so that is how a Golgi apparatus works. Whatever component is given to it, for example, if the protein is given to it, it modifies the protein, it packages the protein after modification, and then it transports to the other organelles so that they can utilize it. That is about Golgi apparatus. Then we also have endoplasmic reticulum. Right, now this is very important. Endoplasmic reticulum is a network within the cell. Okay, and they are of two types. What are they? The two types of endoplasmic reticulum are SER and RER. That is smooth endoplasmic reticulum and rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now for example, if this is the endoplasmic reticulum, okay, and in this you will see certain small bead-like attachments on their surface. Okay, those bead-like attachments are nothing but ribosomes. What are ribosomes? Ribosomes are those which synthesizes proteins. So if these are attached on the endoplasmic reticulum, that section is called as rough endoplasmic reticulum. It appears rough, so that's why it is rough endoplasmic reticulum. So what is the synthesizing rough endoplasmic reticulum? Proteins. Okay, now smooth endoplasmic reticulum are those which does not have any kind of bead-like structure attachment, or any ribosome attachment is not present. So that section appears as smooth. So that is called as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And what is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum going to synthesize, it is going to synthesize lipids or fats. Okay, that is the major role of endoplasmic reticulum. I hope I have covered all the cell organelles. Okay, so this was about cell organelles, a very crisp manner where you can just brush it up. Okay, and how is this connected to your class 10th? In life process you will be learning about respiration, you will be learning about photosynthesis, you will be learning about circulatory system, excretory system. So for that this base is very important. Okay, now let us see the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. Now, as we discuss the cell organelles, we also know that there is certain differences between a plant cell and an animal cell. So, plant cell, oh, we forgot, cell wall. Sorry for it. So, a plant cell has a outermost covering apart from the plasma membrane called as cell wall, which is very rigid, very tough. It cannot be broken easily. Okay, what it does, provides rigidity to the plant cell. Okay, it is a very rigid outer layer. As plants are stationary, they need extra protection. So that extra protection to the plant cell is given by the cell wall. Okay, it is the outermost layer, and what it is made up of? Cellulose. It also contains chloroplast, which is essential for photosynthesis. They have large vacuoles, central vacuole for water storage, food storage, and regular box-like shape. The shape is like a regular box kind of shape. Then animal cell, no cell wall. In animal cell, there will be no cell wall present. Only flexible cell membrane will be present. Only there will be cell membrane present, or plasma membrane it is also called as, that is present. No chloroplast. They also don't have chloroplast because they don't prepare their own food. Vacuoles are very small, or sometimes it is not present also. That does not make a major difference in the cell. Irregular or round shape, has centrioles for cell division. Okay, centrioles are those which are very essential for the cell division. They are thread-like structures. Fine. Now, what are the similarities between the plant cell and animal cell? Both have cell membrane, both have nucleus, both have cytoplasm, both have mitochondria, both have ribosomes and endoplasmic reticulum. So, this is common in plant cell and animal cell. So you don't have to confuse between what is there, what is not there. Now here a diagrammatic representation of the cell organelles. You can see this is your plant cell, and this is your animal cell. Okay, you can see the difference here. The vacuoles are very large. Okay, nucleus is present, then there is a cell wall present, there is plasma membrane also, there is mitochondria also present, there is endoplasmic reticulum present, there is lysosome present. Now we will come to the role of lysosome. Okay, so they are also present. Hardly 2 or 3 organelles are different in plant cell and animal cell, and the major thing which is different here is a cell wall. Okay, and this is an animal cell. Now lysosome is another cell organelle which is also called as suicide bag of cell. Okay, a suicide bag. Why it is called so? Because they are like a bag like structure. Okay, and they have sorry, not bag, like a sac like, and they have strong digestive enzyme. What this digestive enzyme will do, it will whatever, it is like a sac like structure where all the waste of the organelle is dumped. Okay, and that will be broken down by this digestive enzymes. Now if it breaks, or if this sac like structure blasts completely inside the cell, all the digestive enzyme is flown into the cell completely, and it has the ability to kill all the cell organelles because the enzyme is very strong. So it kills its own cell organelles. So that is why it is called as a suicide bag of a cell. Okay, coming next to tissues. Now we know that what is a cell. Cell is a basic structure, fundamental unit of life. Then what is tissue? A group of similar cells makes up a tissue. Okay, now we understood the cell. Now let us see about tissue. So very important section it was in your class 9th, and it is also very important for your class 10th, because if you know what is tissue, you know what is the function of the cell organelles or the various systems in our body, the different vascular bundles in our plants, and major of our tissues, how they work, how they perform, that will be known if you know this particular chapter very well. Okay, now what is a tissue? So you will tell a tissue is a group of similar cell. That's it. Most of the time you will say like that, right? So tissue is a group of similar cell that work together to perform specific function. It is a group of similar cell. It will work together to perform what? A particular function, not different function. Same type of cells together form a tissue. Okay, the same type of cells together is forming what? A tissue, a mass of, this is tissue, and that perform a specific function. Okay, tissues are next level of organization above cell. So it is a next level of organization after the cell. Now why do we need tissues? Why tissues are important? With the cells only work will happen, right? So tissues are important because only a single cell cannot do all the work of an organism. Now unicellular is different, one cell can do, but a multicellular organism like human, plant, one single cell cannot maintain all the functions of a plant, or cannot do all the processes of a particular multicellular organism. So when cells specialize and group together, they perform complex functions much more efficiently, like muscles contracting or nerves transmitting signals. So when the similar cells are grouped together, they have the ability to perform functions more efficiently, more in a very proper manner they can perform the functions, and that will make the system work in a very smooth manner, or a very efficiently it will work. So there are two major types of tissues: plant tissues, animal tissues. Now plant tissues are found in the root, stem, leaves and flowers. Animal tissues are found in the body of all animals, include the human being. Now tissues. Okay, plant tissues, there are two types of plant tissues. If you remember, there are two types of plant tissues, that is meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Okay, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. So meristematic tissues are those which are actively dividing cell. They completely only keep dividing, they don't stop. Okay, found in the growing tips of roots, shoots. So this plant, in the tips of the shoot, the root, here they will be present. They are responsible for growth in length and girth of the plant. In the length, in the girth, both, for them to be strong, this meristematic tissues are essential for these parts to be present. There are three types of meristematic tissues, that is apical meristem, lateral meristem, intercalary meristem. So apical meristem present at the tip of the plant. Okay. Lateral meristem present at the lower section of the plant. And this is very bad diagram of a plant weight. Okay, apologies for a very bad diagram, but okay, here you will find in the aerial parts, that is the leaves, you will find the apical meristem, the sections where the branches are rising, or in the plant, in case of a plant, there will be the nodes arising. There you will find the intercalary meristem, and in the beneath section, where the bottom part, where it is very width wise, it is very thick, there you will find the lateral meristem. Base, it is present. In the tip, you see the apical meristem helps in the growth of length. Lateral in the sides of the stem, that is helps in the girth and width of the plant. Intercalary base of the leaves, at the internodes of the leaves it is present. Okay. Okay. Now here how is a cell visible in the microscope, how it appears. So structure wise, they are small, they are thin walled and large nucleus and no vacuole. Okay. Now permanent tissues. Okay, sorry. Before that, meristematic tissues. Again, we'll be learning complex permanent. Oh, sorry. It is here. Sometimes it goes out of my mind. Permanent tissues are those which stop their growth. Okay, at one particular stage, the cells stop dividing and they get a specialized function to follow. They have a definite shape and function. So there are two types, that is simple permanent, okay, and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue are again divided into three types, that is parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Complex permanent tissue is divided into two types, xylem and phloem. Now we will not go into detail of how a parenchyma is, how many dead cells and all we will not see. Parenchyma's essential function is storage and photosynthesis. Okay, and the cell is very thin. They are very thin cells. Intercellular spaces are more in the parenchyma. Collenchyma is flexible. The cells are flexible. Not intercalary. The intercellular spaces are not so much present. Okay, they are little bit bound together, and they are. And the next one is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is a dead cell. Okay, they are very narrow, and the walls of the cell, they are very thick. They are made up of a protein called as lignin, okay, which makes it very thick like a cement. It is also called as a cementing material in the plant. It provides strength and support to the plant or the tree. Complex permanent, xylem and phloem. So xylem helps in the conduction of water in upward direction, unidirection, from the root to the aerial parts of the plant, whereas phloem conducts food downward. So the phloem, from the food which is prepared over here, it moves in both the direction, from the roots to the aerial tips of the plant, from the aerial tip of the plant to the roots, but the xylem moves only in one direction, that is aerial tips of the plants. Okay, so I hope you understood the difference between the plant tissues, what are the differences, and in a crisp we have also understood the functions of each of them. Now animal tissues. Okay, animal tissues was a topic which was very big, right? Very complex. We were not understanding what was the difference, what is the difference over here, how many differences are there in epithelial, how many differences are there in connective. So I am not going to rot your brain again with all of that. Very crisply and very shortly we will see the function of each of them. So animal tissues are again divided into four types. Okay, and they are very different from plant tissues. They are not similar to plant tissues. Okay, animal tissues are very different because they carry different functions. They are divided into epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. In plant tissue also you will find epithelial tissue, which makes the outer covering of the plant. Epithelial tissue in the animals, in the humans also, will make the lining or covering of the body surfaces for the organs, like our skin. This is also an epithelial tissue found in skin, intestine, lungs, act as an protective barrier against infection and physical damages. Now in this again there was three types, right? If you remember, that is cuboidal epithelium, then squamous epithelium, and stratified epithelium. They also had a different like absorption, secretion. Okay, next connective tissue, which connected the entire body, which connects the entire body of an animal and a plant, binds and supports tissues and organs together. Okay, what are the connective tissue? Blood, bone, cartilage, fat like adipose tissue, all these were also part of connective tissue. Blood transport nutrients, oxygen. Bones provide structure and protection to the body. So blood was also called as fluid connective tissue. So that is your connective tissue, where you studied about the bone, the tendons, the ligaments, how they are connected, right? The cartilage, where is the fat stored in the adipose tissue. So these also, areolar tissue also you have studied, right? Which helps, which also have present in the lungs. So all these are also very, very important to remember. Then muscular tissue. Muscular tissue made of elongated cell capable of contraction and relaxation, enabling movement. Where are they present? Skeletal, smooth muscle, cardiac muscle. So these are the divisions further. Skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, cardiac muscles. There you will find the muscular tissue, basically present in the muscles of the animal or human body. So again, they were of three types. What do we mean by voluntary? Voluntary means which is under our control. Now if I there are terms voluntary, involuntary, so I want to say voluntary means the actions which are in our control, like I want to move my hand like this, or I want to take up this pen, so this is in my control, right? But heartbeat, salivation, processes like the digestion process is not in my control. Okay, so they are involuntary actions. Okay, now nervous tissue. The next part and the last tissue is nervous tissue, found in brain, spinal cord and nerves. Made of neurons, transmit electrical signal across the body, controls and coordinates all body activity. So nervous tissue consists of neurons. What are neurons doing? They transmit the signal. Right, and also generates the responses, transfers it from the brain to all the parts of our body. Okay, I told I will be saying about the sections of this muscular tissue, right? So there are three types: striated, unstriated and cardiac. Okay, so this is the only one which is branched. Fine. So these are the three types of muscular tissues, and this was about your nervous tissue. Okay. Well, this topic is so vast that most of the students used to skip this topic many times. You, like, I don't know if many of you agree or no, but according to me, when I was teaching the kids, most of them have skipped this topic because it was way too vast. It is now simplified, but it is very, very important. See, if you know about epithelial tissues, you know how the like working of your skin. Okay, if you know about connective tissue, you know about blood, you know how your bones are connected, right? You know where the fats are stored. Muscular tissue, you know about voluntary, involuntary action. And nervous tissue is so important for your 10th standard, where you have control and coordination chapter, which you need to know what is a neuron, right? Basic is been told in 9th standard. You need to know what is neuron, what it does. It helps in transmitting the signals. So that is very important. So 9th syllabus, the topics are related to 10th syllabus. So you just brushing up a little before moving to your 10th topics is very important. Okay, so just I wanted to include a very small part of diversity, even though in class 10th this does not have a major portion, but still I just thought that we will learn, because the students of present 10th have no linkage to diversity topics. What is this biodiversity? So biodiversity, where the living and non-living organisms are residing together, okay, in an ecosystem. So the vast variety of living organisms, from the small bacteria to large whale, and the ecosystem they form, it is the total sum of the life on earth. So all the various types of organisms, smallest to the biggest, they are together. That is called as biodiversity, and they reside with the ecosystem. Now what is the difference between ecosystem? Ecosystem where the living and the non-living organisms are residing together. Now we need to classify. We have so many things, right? From small tiny microbe to such a big blue whale. We have all these. Now we have to classify them. We have to separate them to organize. Why? So that we can organize this immensely diversify and understand their relationship, study evolution, how they are interlinked, simplify the identification of new species, and help us to get a sense of intricate web. So understand the relationship between every organism. Okay, now what are the basis of classification? Organisms are grouped based on shared characteristics, morphological, cellular, their evolutionary relationship, and even hierarchical structures. So based upon that the divisions are done. Okay, so these organisms are classified in 5 major classification. Okay, 5 kingdom they are classified. What are they? Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, animalia. So you learn major of it in class 11th. So basic of it is has to be known. So the life on earth is incredibly diverse. Diverse means they are very different. It is very unique. It is very different. And this makes a sense of it all. To make a sense of all of these unique creatures, the scientists classify organism into 5 major kingdoms based on their characteristics. Okay, that is Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So in Monera, it is simplest single cell, like your bacteria, blue-green algae. So they are very simple. No true nucleus. They are all prokaryotes. Protista, they are also mostly single celled. Have a true nucleus. They are eukaryotic. And for example, amoeba, paramecium, and some algae. Fungi, mostly multicellular eukaryotes, absorb nutrients in the form of decomposers, and examples are mushroom, yeast, molds. All these are also example which comes under the kingdom of fungi. Plantae, multicellular eukaryotes, make their own food, that is through photosynthesis. Example, tree, flowers, ferns. Animalia, again multicellular eukaryotes, consume other organisms for the food, and insects, fish, bird, mammals are example of this particular kingdom, that is Animalia. We will not be going depth into the diversity as this topic is huge and very vast, and also it is not much related to class 10th syllabus. The chapter is improvement in food resources. So here basically you learned how to improve food resources. Okay, why it was important to increase the food resource, to increase the yield, quality enhancement, and sustainable practices, different methods, how we can increase the yield, how quality can be increased, how the sustainable practices can be followed. That is what we have learned over here. Okay, and in this this is a little bit related to actually class 10th. It won't be that much related, but generally to understand it is important. Okay, now next, what actually we have learned in it? We have learned about the basics of crop production, animal husbandry, and why food resources matter to us. So in here, the basis of crop production, we learned about 2 croppings season, rabi crop and kharif crop. Rabi crop is grown in the rainy, it's not summer, it's rainy, and rabi crops in the winter. Okay, it improves yields with better seeds, fertilizers, irrigation, pest control. All of these measures were looked into it. So 3 cropping methods we saw. First one is mixed cropping, second one is intercropping, and third one is crop rotation. Okay, so mixed cropping, different seeds or different plants are grown in one particular field. Then intercropping, where the crops are grown in rows. Okay, different crops are grown in rows. Then crop rotation, according to the changes, there are seasonal rotation of the plant. Now for example, here in this field, if a paddy is grown, the next season the paddy won't be grown. Here legumes will be grown, so that the increase of nitrogen happens. So that is how the crop rotation also is done to improve the yield. Animal husbandry, where there was breeding and raising of the animals such as the cattle, the poultry, then fishes and beekeeping. All this also we have understood. For their milk, eggs, meat, honey, how can they be improved, how are they taken care of, that we have learnt. They are provided with good nutrition, health care, shelter, and how to improve their qualities. All this we have understood in this particular animal husbandry. Then why it is important for food resources? A growing population makes it necessary to increase the food production sustainably. Science helps through hybrid varieties, fertilizers and modern farming methods to increase them. So because there is a growth of population, the demand for crops also have increased. So in a lesser amount of time, how can you get a higher yield of crops? Or even in animal husbandry, how can we maintain it properly? How can we get good yield? So that is what we learnt in this particular chapter. This was a very simple and a very easy chapter, I can say, and related to your class 10. It's not actually completely related to class 10. Here and there you can find a section of it, mostly in our environment. Okay, so the big picture, cell to a system. Okay, so first we know that there was cell, which is the basic unit of life. Similar cells became a group of similar cell became a tissue, and then an organ was formed, and then became an organ system. It is like a chain. Okay, how is this connected to your class 10th? Now you'll ask, we have understood. How is this related to class 10th now? So in the cell level, so cellular respiration, osmosis, diffusion, all this happens inside a cell. The osmosis, diffusion, we will learn in the plasma membrane. Diffusion means where the gases are transporting from the higher level to lower level. Okay, and osmosis, where the water is transporting from higher level to lower level through semi-permeable membrane. So all this also happens inside a cell. So when you are learning about respiration, you will learn about this also. Tissue level, about epithelial, muscular, nervous, how they work together, how these organs are working together, and how the organs are made. Okay, how they are, how secretions are done. Then at organ level, how heart is formed, which muscles are present, or which tissues are present, lungs, liver. Each organ will perform a specific process in life process. So in life process, you majorly connect these two important chapters. Then system, circulatory system, digestive system, nervous system, how it is coordinating with the life process. All this also you are going to understand in class 10. Majorly in the life process, in the control and coordination, in how do organisms reproduce, there you will connect it very much. Okay, topics like nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion in class 10th are all about how organ systems are made, how they are working, right? So that is why you need to master the 9th, so that your 10th becomes very, very easy. Or if it is bulky, but still you get an idea, okay, this is what you mean by tissue, this is what were types of tissue, and this is what was a secretion done by which tissue. Now, the lastly, as I told you, last references, some differences, like what are prokaryotes versus eukaryotes. Some of the very much asked exam questions. Prokaryotes, no true nucleus will be present. Eukaryotes, true nucleus is present. No membrane bound organelles, has membrane bound organelles. Smaller and simpler, larger and complex. Examples: bacteria, cyanobacteria, plant cell, animal cell. Plant and animal tissue. Plant tissue has two types, meristematic and permanent. Animal tissue has four types: epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissue. Meristematic tissues can divide continuously. Animal tissues, they typically have living cells and they don't divide continuously. Dead cells can also provide support, like sclerenchyma. More variety and specialization of tissues is found in animals. Example: xylem, phloem, parenchyma. And here example: blood, bone, muscle fibers, neurons. All these are examples. Okay. So next, so what are some common mistakes which you all do sometimes? Get confused, okay, or some mix up things like confusing the cell organelles. Okay, the writing mitochondria is found only in plant cells, where it is found both in plant and animal cell. Mitochondria are found in both. Chloroplasts are only found in plant cell. Okay, then mixing up the tissues, okay, confusing connective tissue with epithelial tissue, or sclerenchyma as an animal tissue. So these small mistakes you will be doing. Okay, then skipping the diagrams, where all the tissue diagrams are very important. Just have a look over it. Even though it is not there for class 10th, that does not mean that you don't remember it. Okay, you need to remember their structure. So just a little diagram practice is fine. Then prokaryote eukaryote mix up, mixing prokaryote and eukaryote, or forgetting their examples. So that is some little common mistakes which can be cleared up if you just go through this basics. Okay, so what have we understood completely here in this particular video? We have understood about the cell, the basics of cell, the discovery and organelles, then tissues, types of tissues, which are dividing, which is not dividing, animal tissue, plant tissue, food resources, and connection to your class 10th also we have understood. Basically for life process to reproduction, you connect these topics. Okay, so that now you have understood all the basics of your ninth. It is, you're completely ready for your 10th now. And I know when you speak about 10th or the topics in 10th, you get a little scared, or you just, if not scared, you are just like, oh, it's so bulky, it's so lengthy. Okay, it becomes very lengthy and very confusing when you don't know the basics. So especially fundamental unit of life and tissue are basic for your life process, control, coordination, reproduction. So they are very important. So don't neglect, just revise at least these two topics so that you are perfect with, or you understand those particular topics. So you have covered all of it here in this video. Your class 10th is built upon class 9th videos, sorry, not videos, the chapters. And your next step is to read first. Read the class 9th basic, that is this two chapters itself. Just read, just brush up what you have learned already, so that you don't have difficulty in understanding the other topics of class 10th. Okay, and don't doubt yourself, just believe yourself that okay, you are able to tackle class 10th topics. They are not so difficult, they are very easy, quite easy, they are just lengthy. Okay, so first clear your basics, then class 10th topic becomes very easy, very understandable. Okay, that's it. So if you liked the video, kindly like, share and subscribe, and I will bring to you different videos of each chapters once the NCERT books are given and I see the complete list of contents in it, and a detailed video about this NCERT changes also will be brought to you. So till then, learn your basics. That makes you strong for your class 10th. Thank you.